My wife ran away with my boss. Now she's begging me to raise their baby. It's funny how one sentence can detonate your whole life. You think you're building something stable, a home, a routine, a future, and then, boom. One note, 6 lines, and everything comes crashing down. I found it on the kitchen counter. She hadn't even tried to hide it. Just a plain white envelope with my name in her handwriting, the same handwriting that once scribbled "I love you" on napkins and birthday cards. "Harry, I'm sorry. I love someone else. It's Ron. I hope someday you'll understand. Melissa." I stood there for what felt like forever, holding the note like it might change if I looked long enough. But it didn't, and neither did the silence around me. The house was too quiet. No hum of her favorite podcast in the background, no sound of the kettle boiling, no smell of her perfume clinging to the air. Just coffee gone cold in the pot, and her favorite mug still sitting in the sink. But her clothes? Gone. Her shoes? Gone. Half the closet, empty. Like someone had scooped out the center of my life and left the shell. I sat down in our chair, the one we fought over at IKEA, and then both loved once it broke in just right. I didn't move for hours, didn't cry, didn't scream, just sat. Like if I stayed still enough, the world might rewind. That's when the memory hit me. That damn barbecue. It was late summer, and Ron had come over with steaks and his signature bourbon grin. Melissa laughed at everything he said. I mean everything. I chalked it up to her being polite. She was always gracious, always charming. But I remember how her hand lingered on his shoulder a beat too long when she passed him a drink. How she laughed, just a little louder at his stupid jokes. I ignored it. I trusted them. Hell, I liked Ron. He was my boss, yeah, but more than that. He was like an older brother. Took me under his wing when I joined the firm. Gave me good projects. Vouched for me with the partners. I thought he respected me. Now I realize he was laying the groundwork the whole damn time. I leaned forward in the chair, elbows on knees, the note still clutched in my fist. My wedding ring felt heavier than ever. I didn't understand then. Not really. I thought maybe she was going through something. Maybe it was a phase. Maybe she'd come back. I was wrong about that too. But I wasn't wrong about one thing. That day, sitting in the hollow of our home, I knew something in me had shifted. The Harry who believed in happy endings? He left that day too. The Monday after Melissa left, I got fired. No long conversation, no real explanation, just a tight-lipped HR rep and a "this isn't performance-related, but" speech. Ron, of course, didn't even have the guts to face me. The man who stole my wife couldn't even look me in the eye. I left the office with a cardboard box and the realization that everything I built in the last 10 years was officially gone. They didn't even let me finish my coffee. I moved into a 1-bedroom in a part of town where sirens outnumber birdsong. The paint peeled in the corners. The heater rattled like it was coughing up its last breath. But it was cheap, and no one asked questions, and that's all I could afford. Some nights I lay awake listening to arguments through the thin walls. Others I drank enough that sleep came like a brick to the head. I picked up work delivering takeout. Not because I liked it, I hated it, but because it was the only thing that didn't ask me to smile or care. Just pick up the food, drop it at the door, repeat. My parents called. I let it ring. My college friend Jake texted. I deleted it. I didn't want to talk to anyone who still had a full life, who hadn't been gutted by betrayal and left to rot. My beard grew in patches. I shaved when the mirror disgusted me too much. I showered most days. I drank too much. Cheap beer, always. I told myself it helped me sleep, but really, it helped me forget. Just a little. One night, I was digging through a box I'd never unpacked. Inside, photos, notes, a damn scrapbook from our honeymoon in Oregon. Melissa had written in big loopy cursive on the front, and the start of forever. I tore out the first few pages. Our stupid smiling faces on the beach. The pressed flower she'd saved from the trail. The love note she'd slipped under my pillow. I ripped and ripped and ripped. Then I stopped. Not everything. I don't know why. I left a few photos. Just tossed the rest back in the box and shoved it under the bed like it might crawl away on its own. Later that night, I took the trash out and ran into my neighbor. an old guy named Walter who lived 2 doors down. Gray hair, thick glasses, moved slow. "You just move in?" he asked, eyes squinting in the dark. "Divorce?" he asked casually, as if talking about the weather. I hesitated. "Something like that." He nodded. "Same here. 40 years ago." I didn't say anything. He didn't press. Just offered me a half smile and said, "Well, hang in there. It won't always feel like this." That night, for the first time in weeks, I didn't drink. I sat on the broken couch, looked around the empty apartment and whispered to no one. One day, I won't feel like a ghost in my own life. And somehow, that felt like something. It was a Tuesday evening in late October, the kind of night where the rain doesn't fall. It clings, soft and cold, like regret you can't shake off. I was halfway through reheating a can of soup when I heard the knock, not the sharp kind, soft, hesitant, like the person on the other side wasn't sure if they had the right door, or the right to knock at all. When I opened it, the world tilted. There she was, Melissa, hair damp from the rain, stringy and pulled back, no makeup, eyes puffy, skin pale, a dark bruise like exhaustion under both eyes. The confident, glowing woman I once married was gone. In her place was someone who looked like she'd lost more than just a home. In her shaking hands was a baby carrier. Inside, a tiny bundle, wrapped in a green blanket, sleeping. I didn't say a word. Neither did she. Her lips trembled before she finally whispered, "Harry, I didn't know where else to go." I stared at her, at the carrier. My pulse beat in my throat. My mind screamed no. My heart, it didn't know what the hell it wanted anymore. "Just one night," she said. Her voice cracked. "Please, just for tonight. Not for her, never again for her, for the baby." She walked in slowly, like she half expected the floor to give way. She set the carrier gently on the old couch, looked around the tiny space, and said nothing else. Just sat down beside the carrier and unzipped her coat. The baby stirred but didn't wake. I didn't ask his name. I didn't ask anything. Instead, I watched. She looked smaller somehow, fragile. Her hands trembled as she reached in and touched the baby's cheek. The old wedding band she used to wear was gone. I stayed standing for a long time, arms crossed. Eventually, I moved to the armchair across the room, sat down and kept my eyes on them. On him. I didn't hold him. Couldn't. Wouldn't. But I couldn't stop looking either. He was small, soft, curled like a question mark. He had a little tuft of dark hair, the same shade as mine. No. Don't do that, I told myself. Don't even go there. Melissa didn't talk. She just sat with the baby on her chest, wrapped in her arms, and slowly drifted into sleep. I stayed awake, listening to the rain, to the baby's soft breaths, to the ache in my chest that pulsed with every second. She set fire to my life. Now she wants shelter from the cold? I should have slammed the door in her face, told her to go to Ron, told her to rot like she left me to. But I didn't, because in that moment, the baby shifted in her arms, yawned, and made a tiny sound that broke me open in a place I didn't know still existed. I sat in that chair all night, watching the ghost I'd buried come back to life, and I didn't sleep. The morning after she returned, the rain had stopped, but everything still felt soaked through, the air, my clothes, my bones. Melissa stood in the kitchen in silence, awkwardly boiling water in a dented kettle I'd gotten from a thrift store. Her eyes were red-rimmed. She didn't look at me. I didn't look at her. The baby, Sammy, I heard her whisper the name once, lay curled on a folded towel on the couch, his little chest rising and falling in a rhythm too perfect for this messy, broken moment. I sat across the room, pretending to scroll through my phone, but really, I was just watching him. At one point, he stirred, opened his eyes, big, hazel eyes, and started to fuss. Not a full cry, just a soft, almost embarrassed whimper, like even his sadness was polite. Melissa walked over and lifted him, but her hands trembled. After a few tries, he calmed down against her shoulder. She didn't coo, didn't sing, just held him. She wasn't pretending to be a perfect mother. And for some reason, that made it harder to hate her. Around noon, she finally spoke. "I was 6 months pregnant when he left," she said quietly. Her voice didn't carry. It barely reached across the room. told me he had a fresh start waiting for him in Austin. Some younger assistant. I didn't respond. She kept going, bit by bit, like peeling back skin from a burn. Oh, Bond Hay took the joint account, canceled the card I was using, took the car, even my phone plan. I looked at her, just once. Her chin quivered, but she didn't cry. I thought he was a better man, she said. Still, no excuses. No, I made a mistake. No, I'm sorry. Just facts laid bare. I stood, grabbed the trash bag from under the sink, and took it outside. The dumpster behind the building was overflowing. A cat darted from underneath as I approached. I threw the bag in, but something stopped me from walking away. I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out the folded note, the one she left on the kitchen table the day she ran off. I'm sorry, Harry. I love someone else. It's Ron. I hope someday you'll understand. I stared at it for a long second, then I ripped it in half. Then again, and I threw the pieces into the garbage. That chapter was over. When I came back inside, the apartment smelled like old coffee and diapers. Melissa was asleep on the couch again, the baby lying beside her, wrapped in that same green blanket. He stirred when I got close, let out a soft noise, not a cry, just a sound I didn't think. I knelt beside the couch, reached out and let my finger hover near his hand. He grabbed it. His tiny fingers were warm, stronger than I expected. I looked into his eyes, big, curious, wordless. He didn't know the mess he came from. He didn't ask to be born in the middle of betrayal, or pain, or failed promises. He just was. I slipped my hands beneath him and lifted him, slowly. He didn't fight. He just blinked up at me like I was the sky. For a moment the world went quiet. I held him to my chest, one hand behind his head, the other across his back. His warmth soaked into my skin, down into something deeper. And for the first time in a long time, I felt something other than anger. I didn't say a word, but I didn't need to. We just looked at each other, and I didn't let go. 2 weeks after she showed up with the baby, I sat in a sterile clinic with a cotton swab in my mouth, pretending this wasn't a betrayal of my own conflicted feelings. The nurse didn't ask questions. She just labeled the vial, sealed it in a small plastic bag, and told me, results in 5 to 7 business days. I didn't tell Melissa. Not because I wanted to catch her in some kind of lie. I already knew the answer in my gut, but something inside me needed the truth spelled out in cold, sterile facts. No emotions, just DNA. When the email finally came, I didn't open it right away. I let it sit there, unread, while I finished a delivery shift and drove across town to meet Derek at Juno's, the dive bar we used to hit after long shifts back in the day. He was already 2 drinks in by the time I got there. That woman's got balls coming back, he said without even looking up from his glass. No offense. None taken, I muttered, sliding onto the stool beside him. She's still sleeping on your couch? I nodded. He shook his head and laughed, not the funny kind. Unreal. We ordered 2 beers. He didn't ask about the test, but I told him anyway. Pulled up the email and let him read it over my shoulder. Probability of paternity, 0.0%. That's a hard number, he said softly now. Not much to argue with. Nope. He took a sip. So what now? You gonna tell her to pack up? I didn't answer. He turned to face me fully. Harry, you're not his blood man. You owe them nothing. She cheated, she lied, she left, and he's a baby, Derek, I cut in, sharper than I meant to. Derek paused, nodded once. Yeah, he is. He didn't ask for any of this. But still, you gotta ask yourself something. What's that? He looked me dead in the eye. Are you trying to be his father out of guilt, or because you've already become one? That question followed me home. The apartment was dark. Melissa had finally moved into the bedroom. I had offered it after she with a stiff neck 3 mornings in a row. I stayed on the couch. I lay there for hours, staring at the ceiling, listening. At around 2:30 a.m. the soft whimpering started, then built into cries. I waited. Melissa didn't stir. Maybe she was exhausted. Maybe she was pretending. Either way, I stood. Made my way to the crib we'd pieced together from Facebook Marketplace finds and cheap screws. Sammy's face was red, scrunched tight with distress, little fists punching at the air like he was fighting off bad dreams. Shh. I whispered, lifting him gently. It's all right, kid. You're not alone. He settled into my chest, warm and real. I sat in the armchair, rocking him back and forth, slow and steady. He wasn't my son, but my arms didn't care, and neither did my heart. The apartment was quiet. Too quiet. No TV, no music, no hum of the microwave or clinking of dishes. Just the soft rustling of the rain tapping against the windows, and the occasional creak of the old floorboards beneath our feet. Melissa sat at the kitchen table, her hands wrapped around a chipped mug of tea she hadn't touched. Her hair was pulled back, dark circles under her eyes. She looked like a ghost of the woman I married, and the stranger who left me. I stood across from her, arms crossed, heart racing but my voice calm. I know, I said. She blinked. Know what? I held her gaze. That Sammy's not mine. Her eyes fell. No denial, no surprise. Only a slow exhale, and then, I figured you did. I got the test last week. DNA doesn't lie. She nodded, and for a few seconds I thought I might walk away, leave it at that. But the storm in my chest demanded air. You destroyed me, Melissa. She looked up, tears brimming, but she didn't interrupt. You didn't just cheat, you didn't just fall in love with someone else. You walked out, you left me with nothing, not even a conversation, just a damn note. She flinched. I didn't care. You humiliated me. I lost my job because I couldn't face him. Your lover, my boss. I lost friends. I lost myself. A tear rolled down her cheek. Still, she didn't speak. I hated you, I said quietly. And worse, I hated me. For not seeing it, for not being enough. Her voice finally cracked. I know, I deserve every word. I let the silence hang between us like a rope. Then I said, the only reason you're still here is because of him, not you. She looked over at the playpen in the corner where Sammy was napping peacefully. His tiny chest rose and fell with that innocent rhythm only babies seem to have. Melissa wiped her face with the sleeve of her sweater. If you want me gone, she said, I'll go. I stayed quiet. I mean it, she whispered. I'll leave. And if you think you can give Sammy what I can't, the stability, the care, the peace, I'll sign whatever you want. I just want him safe, and loved, and better than me. I didn't respond, couldn't. Because for the first time since she walked back into my life, she wasn't asking for forgiveness. She was offering surrender. And that was almost harder to watch than the betrayal. It's been 6 months. The apartment is different now. It's brighter. The walls are freshly painted, a soft shade of blue that feels peaceful. There are toys scattered around, a colorful rug in the living room, and a few framed photos of Sammy and me on the walls. The small kitchen smells like fresh coffee and pancakes, the way mornings should feel. I don't look back at the apartment I used to live in with Melissa. I don't think I ever will. I'm sitting at the kitchen table, sipping my coffee, while Sammy crawls across the floor, his little hands grasping at the carpet. He's getting bigger, stronger, and sometimes when I look at him, I still see the ghost of the boy I thought wasn't mine. But I know better now. I'm his father, whether or not our blood runs the same. Melissa? She's out of the picture in a way. She's living in another town, visiting every now and then. She's trying, in her own broken way. I can't say I've forgiven her, but I've moved past it. I've learned to take responsibility for what's mine, and Sammy's mine. I've got a small repair company now. It's not much, but it's mine. I fix things, rebuild them. In a way, it's symbolic. People trust me to do a good job, and I'm good at it. Clients appreciate me. There's no rush, no chaos anymore. Just steady work and honest pay. I'm not the man I was 6 months ago. I don't have the same self-doubt or regret that weighed me down. I'm stronger now, and I've learned that being a man doesn't mean being perfect. It means showing up, every day. The morning light is pouring through the windows as Sammy pulls himself up on the couch. He's still wobbly, but there's determination in his eyes. He lets go of the cushion and takes a hesitant step, then another. I put my mug down and lean forward, my heart catching in my throat. He takes another step. Come on, buddy, I whisper, my voice barely audible. And then, with a soft thud, he falls onto his little bottom. He looks up at me, grinning like he just conquered the world. I laugh, scooping him up into my arms. You're not my blood, I whisper to him as I hold him close. But you're my boy, and I'll never run. The world outside might be unpredictable, but in this moment, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, and I know, for the first time in a long while, I've finally found what matters.